This will be a brief overview of environmental justice and tribal affairs at DTSC and available tools and resources. The Office of Environmental Justice and Tribal Affairs, commonly referred to as EJ in Tribal Affairs, reports directly to DTSC's director.
It's difficult to identify a particular date or event that launched the environmental justice movement, as the social movement grew from hundreds of local struggles and events and out of a variety of social movements. Many environmental justice advocates point to the challenge residents of Warren County, North Carolina faced in 1982 as the initial recognition of environmental justice in the United States. Warren County, a predominantly black and low-income community and host to an existing landfill, was a proposed site of an additional polychlorinated biphenyl (PCB) landfill. Over 500 black residents were arrested for protesting the siting of the landfill. In 1988, a toxic waste incinerator was proposed to be placed in Calumet City, California, a predominantly low-income Latino farm worker community, already host to one of the largest hazardous waste landfills in the nation. After 3 years of protest, the project proponent withdrew its proposal to construct the incinerator in Calumet City. These two events galvanized the environmental justice movement in California and nationally. Many local struggles attempting to address these disparities were followed by mounting documentary evidence demonstrating that certain communities, especially low-income and communities of color, face a disproportionate share of the burden of environmental pollution. Compelling racial and economic disparity in the distribution of exposure to air pollutants, hazardous waste, contaminated groundwater, and toxic chemicals led to an overwhelming number of studies showing differences by race and income in exposures to environmental hazards.
The protests in Warren County raised the question of how many other communities of color were similarly affected by hazardous waste. This line of inquiry was partially explored in a 1983 Government Accountability Office (GAO), then known as the General Accounting Office, report on southeastern states, citing of hazardous waste landfills and their correlation with racial and economic status of surrounding communities. This report concluded that African Americans comprised the majority of the population in 3 out of 4 communities where southeastern hazardous waste landfills were located. Many reports that followed reached similar conclusions. This phenomenon was not localized to the southeastern United States. It was occurring across the nation. In 1987, the United Church of Christ followed up on the GAO's report with toxic waste and race, finding race to be the most potent variable in predicting where toxic facilities were located, more powerful than household income, the value of homes, and the estimated amount of hazardous waste generated by industry.
Two theories inform our understanding of environmental justice: distributive justice and procedural justice. Distributive justice refers to the extent to which governments ensure that societal benefits and burdens are distributed in ways that are fair and just. Specifically, this often means that low-income communities and communities of color should not have to bear disproportionate environmental and public health burdens. Procedural justice focuses on the process through which environmental decisions are made. This includes making sure vulnerable groups have the legal and technical resources they need, and ensuring they have equal access to decision makers and decision-making processes. Procedural justice can also refer to governmental behaviors and activities, such as ensuring equitable data collection and providing materials in the languages necessary to allow for meaningful involvement of community residents.
Everyone deserves a healthy environment and a healthy place to live. The principles of environmental justice call for fairness regardless of race, color, national origin, or income in the development of laws and regulations that affect every community's natural surroundings. and the places people live, work, play, and learn. Consistent with the U.S. EPA, DTSC recognizes the strong connection many California Indian tribes and indigenous peoples have to the environment and their past and present role in the protection and sustainability of the environment and public health. The Office of Environmental Justice and Tribal Affairs is a diverse and growing team led by the Assistant Director of EJ and Tribal Affairs. With the first executive level position focused on environmental justice at any Cal EPA board, department, or office, DTSC is uniquely positioned to embed equitable protections in policy decisions and practices for impacted communities across the state. EJ and Tribal Affairs is helping the department identify and address gaps within its programs that may contribute to unequal environmental protections or outcomes in communities, and helping broaden the transparency of and access to DTSC's programs. EJ and Tribal Affairs collaborates across all programs at DTSC to improve community access to information, resources, and decision-making processes. For example, EJ and Tribal Affairs is working with DTSC's public participation program on initiatives such as enhancing the readability of documents for communities with limited English proficiency and enhancing access to decision makers. The team is also working with the Hazardous Waste Management Program's Permitting Division to promote early and meaningful public involvement in the permitting process. In the cleanup program, DTSC is providing technical assistance and community capacity building to better understand and participate in decision-making processes. EJ and Tribal Affairs also supports Cal EPA EJ task forces, statewide initiatives, and community-led environmental reporting networks, identifying violations affecting neighborhoods, also known as IVANs. These environmental justice task forces identify and reduce pollution in disadvantaged communities.
DTSC is committed to building working relationships through respectful coordination and consultation between California Indian tribes, communities, and citizens on projects, policies, and regulations that may affect them with respect to tribal cultural resources, heritage, and sovereignty. California tribal affairs have been marked by several important events that have helped shape policy in the state. The Native American Heritage Commission, created in statute in 1976, is a 9-member body appointed by the governor to identify and catalog cultural resources in California. In 2011, Governor Brown issued Executive Order B 1011 that advises California agencies, departments, and offices, and other entities to consult with tribal communities, develop tribal consultation policies to lead those efforts, appoint department executive level tribal liaisons, and establish the position of the governor's tribal advisor. The state has made significant strides in recognizing tribal sovereignty, heritage, and culture through these initiatives. The Assistant Director for Environmental Justice and Tribal Affairs has been designated to serve as the DTSC Tribal Liaison. EJ and Tribal Affairs is leading the development of a department-wide tribal consultation policy and protocol document for guidance. This policy will promote tribal cultural sensitivity, trust, and consultation with tribal communities on matters that affect them within DTSC. Assembly Bill 52 requires lead agencies to consult with California Indian tribes before conducting an environmental review of agencies' activities to ensure tribal communities who may be impacted are informed and actively involved in mitigating any potential impacts. Tribal consultation activities, which rely on building and maintaining trusted relationships, will be coordinated by EJ and Tribal Affairs.
There are currently 109 federally recognized tribes and approximately 80 non-federally recognized tribes in California. many of whom are in the process of seeking federal recognition. Each tribe is unique in government structure, culture, and background. While federally recognized tribes are considered sovereign nations, all tribal communities deserve the respect and cultural sensitivity from representatives of DTSC.
CalEnviroscreen was developed by California's Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment on behalf of the California Environmental Protection Agency to help identify California's communities that are disproportionately burdened by multiple sources of pollution. CalEnviroscreen currently uses 19 indicators of environmental, socioeconomic, and health conditions to help identify these communities. DTSC utilizes CalEnviroscreen by overlaying data related to pollution burden and population characteristics with facilities permitted by the department. The site helps to improve understanding of communities in proximity to hazardous waste facilities and assist in public outreach efforts for Permitting Division, Office of Public Participation, and the Office of Environmental Justice and Tribal Affairs.
Here is a list of EJ and tribal staff. Please feel free to contact them if you have any questions or concerns related to EJ and tribal affairs.
For additional resources, please visit our website, dtsc.ca.gov/EJ-tribal.